Hi, Pernasia.
Good morning.
I'm freezing. Whew. Yeah, we're good. I'm going to give you guys the Nearpod in just a second as soon as we get a couple more people. Hi, Benjamin. Thank you so much. Pour it right in here. Use this new little buddy. Oh, it smells good. Coffee, 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 coffee. I will be right back, y'all. All right, friends. Good morning. How we doing? How was yesterday for y'all? Did you get a lot of work done, or was it just kind of crazy town? I am going to give you guys the Nearpod link so that you can start your to-do. So here is this. Hi, Ivan. And then again, I just want to remind you, because nobody has really done it, that those of you who did not do very well in my class for the first semester, that you can, oh, good, Ivan, I'm glad. You can redo your summatives, right? So if you need to redo the summatives from the first semester, you know, I know that you're busy with your work from this semester too, but you need to make a plan and you need to talk to me to make a plan for that, okay? Also a reminder that the history test is still open. So there are still a couple people who have not completed that test or who need to retake that test. So I would encourage you to do so. Just double check and make sure that it hasn't closed itself. Of course, if you can't just get into Schoology, you can't do it, but yeah, it still says submissions enabled. So please go ahead and do that as well. Here again is the Nearpod. So please go ahead and get signed into the Nearpod. And we'll wait just a couple more minutes until we get started because we're missing quite a few people. And the only person I know that we were going to miss today was Jermaine, because he messaged me and told me that he wasn't going to be able to be here today. Good morning, Leah. Paul, were you and I the ones that were talking about Hydro Flask the other day? Or was that somebody else? I don't know why, for some reason, I was thinking it was you. No, it wasn't you. Okay, it must have been somebody else. Good morning, everyone. Here's the Nearpod, so you can get started on your to-do. Pretty simple journal entry for today, just creating a list of actions and consequences. I'm going to go ahead and have you guys turn in your journals at the end of next week. So if you are not caught up, it might be a good thing to do. It's just sort of flip back through. I think we maybe have had 3 of them so far, but I can double check. But just flip back through and take a look. I've got a cute little Halloween theme going on right now in our Nearpod. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. For those of you who are at school, I apologize that you may be having internet problems. If you are, just do the best that you can. If you disconnect and reconnect, I understand. Similarly, if I somehow lose my connection, please just hang around and wait, because you know that I'll be trying to get back in. Okay. We're going to wait 1 more minute. Good morning, Eric. There's the Nearpod again. And then we're going to get started. So as always, this is also in Schoology. So if you don't get a chance to get it finished right now, you can finish it later. So let's see. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14 people in class and only 10 people in the Nearpod. I'm using the Nearpod because instead of using the chat for like interactive stuff, and then in the Nearpod with the videos, what it does is instead of having me play it and you guys watch it through Zoom, it's supposed to do it where you basically play it directly on your device. It basically has all these tools, and I'm still learning like all the tools and how they work. But it's supposed to be able to do all kinds of stuff that you only have to like be in one window for. So instead of me having to go back and forth between all these different windows, we're all looking at the same thing at the same time. And it's supposed to make it easier on your internet connection. I don't know if it actually does or not, but that's what they say. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So again, today we're going to talk about more playwriting, right? So today is going to be plays are about consequences, okay? So you've already been sort of thinking about some actions and consequences. Now we've talked about this before when we've talked about history, right? But now we're going to be thinking about it from the other point of view about how you make those consequences happen, all right? And again, here's my cute little Halloween kitten. So, Benjamin, can you read this quote for us?
Yes. Act one. Get your guy up a tree. Act 2. Throw rocks at him. Act 3. Get him out of the tree. Julius J. Epstein.
Perfect. Yes. So this is a quote from a, here you go, Saeed, the Nearpod. This is a quote from a playwright. And so this is sort of how he describes his idea about playwriting, that you, in Act 1, you know, we're meeting this person, we're getting them to what the problem is. In Act 2, we make all this stuff happen, right? We complicate his life while he's in the tree. And then in Act 3, we figure all the things out and what's going to happen now, right? So we've talked about this before, right? With like things like stasis, initiated event, okay? There we go. So today, first, we're going to talk about vocab, some of the vocab that playwrights use. We're going to talk about what stakes are, what do you want, and how you're going to get it. We are going to practice in partners. You're going to create a pair of protagonists and antagonists. And then we are going to map a plot. We're going to start creating the bones of a story. All right. So first, vocabulary, some key words and concepts. Okay. Let's see. Manha, can you read the first one for us here?
Key points to remember. So, stasis, initiating event, major climax, resolution, new stasis.
Right. These are the things that you have to have, right? We have to have a description of where we start. We have to have something that happens that begins the plot, right? The plot has to conclude in the major climax. We see the fallout, and then we have an idea of what things are going to be like now. We have a protagonist and an antagonist. Who can tell me what our definition of protagonist is? Those of you who are just joining, here's the Nearpod. So what's the definition of protagonist that we created? Okay, so the main person of the story, okay? What else is important for us to know about the protagonist? Okay, good. Ivan adds the person in which the story revolves around. He's the person who's driving the plot, okay? Faith, I need you to get into the Nearpod. Haiti. Well, oh, Haiti's in it. I just saw you now. Jasmine's in it. Latour's in it. Leah's in it, Manha's in it, Paul's in it, Pranasia's in it, Saeed. They can be the hero, right? But they don't have to be a good person. Okay. So just remember that the protagonist doesn't have to be a good person, but they do drive the plot. They're the person who has the goal. So what does that mean for the antagonist? Who's the antagonist? The person's trying to stop them. Yes, the person who's in their way. Now, they're a bad guy if the protagonist is a good guy, right? They stop the protagonist's progress in the story or they slow them down, says Ivan. Good. Yes. Okay. So they're in opposition to each other, right? They want different things. Marco, here's the link to the Nearpod. Saeed, I need you to get into the Nearpod, please. This is the second time I've asked you. So, what is the protagonist's goal? That's something that you have to keep in mind. What are they trying to accomplish? What are they trying to do? What are they trying to win? What are they trying to overcome? Okay, so you have to think about that. What is the protagonist trying to get done? What's in their way or who's in their way? And then the last one, what are the relationships between the characters? Okay, any questions? I'm going to go back one. Any questions about these key points to remember? So look at the short little scene that you started to work on Tuesday, that you either kept working on or you wrote a new one for today. And tell me, do you have some of these elements? So bring up your story. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to think about it. Do you have some of these elements? Okay, so Ivan says, so far you don't have any elements to the story. Do you have a protagonist? Looking at the scene that you wrote on Tuesday, do you have any of these elements in your scene? Okay, so Ivan says that he has two protagonists. Okay. Abdullah says, I have my protagonist. I introduced the stasis a little, but I don't have my antagonist yet. Okay. All right. Two protagonists and at the stasis. Okay. Anybody have a goal in mind yet? Okay, you're making mine Halloween based. Cool, cool, cool. That's fun. I like that. That's cool. I just want you to think, Jasmine, do you have any of these elements so far, like in the story that you started working on Tuesday? Just tell me, either do you have them already or are you thinking about them? Okay, so you don't have a goal yet, but do you have a plot in mind? Okay. All right. Okay, good. I just want to make sure that you have some sort of starting place, right? That we're starting to think about where we're going and how we're going to get there. All right. Let's move on to stakes. So what are stakes and how do stakes influence the characters? It's loading. It's thinking about it. All right. So if something is high stakes or low stakes, what do you think that means? So go ahead and put that in the collaborate board. Good, Marco. Yep, you're right. Okay, somebody said it's like a bet. Stakes are things the characters overcome. Risks, okay, good. You guys are coming up with some good ideas. Good ideas. Paul says that high stakes are important and large impact, low stakes less important with a smaller impact. Good. And something that's high stakes, it means it has a lot of tension and can have important consequences. Good. Excellent. Risking the hardships the protagonist faces. All right, I think you guys have a pretty good handle on this, right? Things like chances and risks, okay. There's some of you I haven't heard from. It means that I have to start making a participation grade for every class. I will, y'all. I think Paul really hit the nail on the head here. Emma did. I mean, you've all have done a really good job, right? So thinking about stakes, right, for your scene, do you think it's better to have high or low stakes? Okay, so Benjamin says he thinks that it's better to have low stakes. Okay. Jasmine says that high stakes are the best kind. Okay. So again, okay, Marco says, I think it depends on what's happening in the story. All right. What about from the perspective of the audience? Low is safer, low stakes are better. Think about it from the perspective of the audience. Is high or low better for a play? All right, high stakes are more entertaining. Okay. It depends if you have plot armor. Tell me that, explain that. Marco says in the audience perspective, it would be high stakes. Higher is better. Higher is better for the audience. Ah, okay. So we're starting to see the difference, right? Okay, you guys are on it. Higher is better for the characters, the actor, and the audience. Okay, so a high stakes play will tend to be more engaging for the audience. It will be more difficult and therefore usually more challenging and more fun for a proficient actor. But higher is harder. Beginning playwrights can struggle with high stakes. They can feel manipulated or over dramatic. Okay. So those of you who are saying that lower is better for where you are, if you've never really written anything before, right? Lower might be better. Okay. If you are somebody who has written quite a bit, you know. Ah, Jasmine, if that's interesting. That's an interesting point of view. You'll probably get out of the situation better. Okay, so think about it from the audience perspective. It's more interesting to watch higher stakes. However, from a playwriter's perspective, it can be more difficult to write. Okay, so why do you think I'm making this distinction? To show how narratives work? Yeah, that's part of it, Marco, for sure. Why do you think I'm trying to emphasize for you that higher is better for theater, however, it's also harder to write. Because writing takes time. Yes, that's very, yeah. To show how hard it is to make all the elements, that's definitely part of it, right? It is difficult, but it's also because it creates drama. It might feel over the top for new writers, right? I want you to understand that while it's something that's more entertaining to watch and usually more entertaining to read or act, I don't expect you guys, brand new playwrights who might be writing something like this for the very first time. I mean, you might not even have done a lot of creative writing in a long time, right? I don't expect that out of you. I don't expect your play to be about like a kidnapping or, like, I don't expect that. I just want to create the distinction between what usually makes good theater and, for beginning playwrights, you don't have to jump into the deep end of the pool, right? I'm not pushing you off the high dive into the deep end of the pool. I'm saying it's okay to be in the kiddie pool for now, right? Okay. Don't worry about that. Okay. However, acknowledge that your goal would be to one day jump off that high dive if this were a playwriting class, right? Okay. So we're going to watch a little thing about a playwriting class, okay? A professional playwriting class. And hopefully it'll start at the right place, but it probably won't because that's my luck. If it doesn't, I'll tell you what time to start it at. Yeah, it didn't start at the right place. Okay. I want you to start it at, I tried to trim it, but Give me 1 second while I find the
Like in
time.
your own head if you can.
Okay, there we go. So start it at,
Like a bunch of two-person scenes all on top of each other. Yeah, and my stage that
isn't right.
has gave me and
Okay. Yeah, sorry, Marco. I'm trying to find it.
what I want to do now is
I think it's going to be right around like 1945. Yeah, let's go ahead and say that. So start it at like right before 20 minutes and just watch to the end.
and guided me in creating.
I have a few of you who can't watch it, so I'm going to share it on my screen. If you're already watching it, please mute your Zoom in your options so that you can keep watching it independently. And then I don't really know of another solution, so that's have to be what we do for now.
In college, I was home in LA and I saw an ad in the LA Times calendar section which said study playwriting with Sam Shepard. And at Padua, Sam and the wonderful playwright Maria Irene Fornés, they began teaching us.
I don't know if this is going to work because of the internet at school.
And working with each other to cultivate writing from the subconscious. So what does that mean? We have our conscious minds, of course, and we have our subconscious minds, and it is most likely that our conscious mind is the part that says to us, well, you're not really good enough to do this, or who would be interested in what you're writing. And the trick becomes to find a way to try to get beneath that conscious mind and instead finding some place that you don't completely understand. So what I want to do now is do this little exercise, which was one of the ones that Maria Irene Fornés gave me and the rest of our group in Padua the summer of 1978, when I feel like I first began understanding what it means to write. So the first part is setting up your scene. If you want, you can flip through a magazine, then you can write about the two characters in the pictures. Then the second part, I'm going to give you about 10 minutes just to start writing. And then I'm going to stop you and we're going to do something with what you've just written. I like to have three things before I start writing a play. One is there's a question. There's something I don't understand. And so I write the play to find out how I really feel about a particular issue or question. The second thing is I like to have a vague idea where I'm beginning and where I'm ending. And the third thing is I usually have some other formal model that I'm taking as my inspiration, some other play, which gives me a sense of the type of play that I'm trying to write. So now I'm going to call out a random word or phrase. And what I want you to do is to continue writing the scene that you've been writing. But now it's your job to incorporate the random word or phrase into the dialogue. I'm going to start with basement studio. Basement studio. Super moon. A lot of times the most exciting moments as a writer are when my characters do things I don't agree with, because A, it means they have their own opinions and they've started to come to life, and B, because then I'm learning things, I'm discovering things, I become like the audience member who is being surprised by what's happening in the play. The late Nobel Prize-winning British playwright Harold Pinter used to talk about the fact you make a deal with your characters. Sometimes you do what your characters want, and sometimes your characters do what you want. So that suggests that the characters themselves have to take a kind of life that's out of your control. And the tension between what you control as an author and what is out of your hands, I think is the question of how to make art. This exercise simulates the process that a writer goes through when you're in control to some extent, and then all of a sudden this impulse pops into your head, and a character does something you don't understand, or says something whose meaning you're not clear about. And oftentimes, when, as a writer, you follow that impulse, if you feel it very strongly, that's when your characters start to come to life. I wrote a play once called The Dance in the Railroad, which was my second play to be done in New York. And it was about two Chinese railroad workers building the American transcontinental railroad in the 19th century. And about the middle of the third scene, I had an impulse that one of them should turn into a duck. And so that's the sort of thing that you don't necessarily understand, but if you feel a strong impulse, sometimes you go with it and it ends up defining the play, which in that case it did. We can look at plays and watch a play and feel that it was too dry, that was too deliberate, that you felt the author's hand. When you feel those impulses, perhaps it means that the author was too much in control, that there was too much of the conscious mind being brought to bear on this particular work, and not enough of the sort of anarchy of the subconscious, which, at least as far as I'm concerned, helps to bring works to life. There's no formula for how to write a good play. Nobody knows what's going to be successful, even if you define success commercially, artistically. So you therefore have to fall back on writing what you're really interested in, what you really believe in. And that makes the plays unique and idiosyncratic. And paradoxically, if you don't think about trying to be successful, your play is more likely to be a success.
Okay, so what does he say here about control? Going back to the Nearpod now, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. What does he say here about control? I'll start my video again. I turned it off to see if that would help the video. Don't be so controlling over your characters. Let your mind wander free and make up the story. Yeah, right? What does he say about control and success? Let your subconscious mind make decisions. Good job, Manha. Absolutely. Yeah. Don't try to focus on success too much. Yes, exactly. Okay. That's one of the things that I want you to think about for this assignment. Okay. Don't overthink the plot. Let your characters decide things for themselves, even if you disagree. They're not correlated. Good. Okay. Excellent. I'm glad you guys got that out of it. This is David Henry Wang. A very, very influential Asian American playwright, who sort of came to success by, I don't want to say by chance, but he sort of came out of nowhere, is what I mean, right? So think of this whole thing with the play that you're writing as an attempt, okay? I don't care if your ultimate product is not successful, if it's sort of stilted, if it's awkward. That's not what I'm judging, okay? I'm just looking to see if you attempted to try to sort of build your character, to create a protagonist. Do they have something that they want, right? They have an idea of how they're going to get it, okay? I'm looking for the attempt. I'm not looking for, a perfect, short scene, a short play that could be immediately put on stage, obviously, all right? So does that make you guys feel a little bit better about what we're doing here? Yes? Okay, good, excellent. That's what I want. Because I definitely felt the same way in my creative writing class. I was a freshman in college. I had never written a play. Of course, I'd read them. I had been in them, but I'd never written one. Had no idea what I was doing, right? It's about the process. It's about the attempt. Good. All right. What? This is not my slide. Oh, it didn't save my. This is like the generic slide that was in the in the original thing. I don't know why it didn't save it. That's pretty funny. Okay. Let me go to my PowerPoint. That was wild. I was like, what is this? I didn't make this. That's funny. Okay. Let me go to go ahead and you can go ahead and close the Nearpod. It's not going to be useful for you now because it didn't completely save. All right, so mapping a plot. You have to know who are these people, right? Where is this taking place? What is going on in the world of the play? So who, where, what? Then we have, when is this happening? Do we need to know? You don't have to tell us, right? Maybe all we need to know is the time of day. Maybe we don't need to know any of that. You don't have to put that stuff in there. Why is this the story you want to tell, right? You said, take something that you're interested in, okay? Any miscellaneous information that you think we need to know. You know, maybe your play takes place like on the North Pole. Well, we probably need to have that information, right? Or maybe your play takes place somewhere not on Earth. How do you tell us that, right? Here's the big one. Don't judge yourself. Okay, I know it's difficult, but you've got to do what he said, right? You've got to really just try to let go and write even if you don't really feel like you don't understand why the characters are doing what they're doing. You've got to let it go. Okay. So can I go back? Yeah, of course. You want the mapping the plot slides? So I was originally going to have you guys do a partner like thing, but instead I think I would like to give you this time, since it's only 15 minutes, to work on, you need the second one? Absolutely, not a problem. To work on your scenes, right? Okay. So instead of working in pairs, I want you to go back to either what you started to work on Tuesday or what you, the new scene that you created, and start sort of revising some things or adding to it, okay? Now, at the end of class today, your exit ticket is going to be to turn in what you've got so far, okay? So I am going to want to see your progress, just so I can start giving you some feedback, some specific feedback, giving you some ideas about some fun, some things that you could do, okay? So you've got like 14 minutes to work on your scenes. Yep, based on the plays you started last class, or if you're totally frustrated with it, you don't want to continue with it, you can toss it away, right? But eventually at some point, you're going to have to, commit to like a scene, right? You're going to have to commit to some people. Oh, I keep opening Outlook and I keep meaning to open Word. because I want to tell you what day these scenes are going to be due. So this is B, you have until the 13th of November, okay? So you still have some time. If what you started with last class, you're not crazy about, you're not in love with it, you can still scrap it, right? But by the end of today, I want you to turn in what you have so far. That's going to be your exit ticket. So go ahead, use the next 10 minutes to write. If you have any questions, I'm here. And then you will turn in your writing today by midnight. I'm going to go ahead and put the "Don't Judge Yourself" slide up so that you can remember. So yeah, and the consequences exit ticket for today, 10/28, you should just be able to copy paste your scene, okay? Yep, you're just gonna turn in what you have so far. That's all you need to do. Okay, so just turn in what you have so far. Just copy paste it in there. The short scene that you have so far, you're gonna copy paste it in the exit ticket in 10/28 in Schoology. Just like you would do with any exit ticket. So consequences exit ticket that is due today. Yes, Paul, I can do that. Yeah, that short scene is the formative, but just put it in the exit ticket. Yep, anything, all the writing you have so far, I want you to submit in the consequences exit ticket, okay? Because instead of working in just pairs, I just let you continue working on your scene. We changed the activity a little bit. That's fine, I understand. All right, that's it. So when you are ready, you submit the writing that you have done so far. Okay, and that will be it. We will, on Friday, we're going to talk a little bit more about playwriting. And then I'm going to give you some specific feedback for your scenes, okay? I will see you on Friday. Bye. Bye, Jasmine.